guys, welcome back to St. Isidore's Farm. We have had a little bit of rain and a lot of mushrooms coming up in the woods, and one of them that has come up in some abundance is the honey mushroom, also I think called stumpers, Armilleria Mellea, and it is the reason stumpers, which you'll see in the video, put together some video of Isaac going out and harvested these caps, and there's a lot more than this out there. But they grow on rotting wood, typically around stumps, which is exactly where they were growing around in this particular case where these caps came from. So the honey mushroom, not called that because of the taste, it's not the case, but because of the color, that it has this sort of brown, honey-ish color, light and light brown, or tan and light brown color. So grows in some number. As you can see, they can get quite large, up to even 5 inches in diameter. These ones, schedule has not been great for us. It's been tough to get out, and also wanted to spend the time identifying. So I'm going to splice some video in here. We harvested these caps last night, and within just a couple of hours doing a spore print, they were beginning to print. And ideally, when you do a spore print, you want to go 2 to 24 hours. This is the spore print after just 2 hours on here, and we'll come back and do this again, look at it again in about 12 plus hours. Okay, this is the spore print after 12 hours. You can start to see how strong the print, the white spores coming off of these honey mushrooms is. And so that pretty much confirms they are in fact honey mushrooms because of the white spore print. These have been over 24 hours, and you can see how strong the spore print is on these caps, which is pretty cool. So we have a definite white spore print, and even if you look on the counter, these ones that Isaac went out and got this afternoon, you can already start to see they're leaving a spore print all over the counter. So why is this important? The lookalikes that you might run into, and there's a handful of them this time of year, and a few of them that are pretty dangerous, even deadly. None of them print with white spores. So the things you're going to look for on this is, are the mushrooms growing on wood? These were. 2, do they have, in this case, and there are ringless Armilleria, so there is a variety of these that will not have the rings on the stems, and I don't think we cut all of these without them, but if I showed in the video, you would see that there is that little thing that looks like a skirt that you see on mushrooms sometimes is a ring, and what that originally was part of the cap as it was developing on the mushroom to protect the gills, and eventually as it flares out and goes, that covering, the ring, separates and falls down onto the stem. So in this case, all of these had the ring around it. And then lastly, you would have on these, if you looked very closely, and I don't know if we can get, but if we can zoom in that close, but if you were to look at these, you can see that there are very fine hairs and almost black or dark hairs that stand up on the top. That's another important indicator for the honey mushroom. And then lastly would be these white, very much white gills on the underside, on the mushroom itself. And finally, the last thing is going to be to do the spore print and to get white spores, as opposed to brown or rust colored or some of the others in the lookalikes that you would find. One other last little thing identifying things on honey mushrooms is where the gills, if you look, come up onto the stem, and those are decurrent gills that as they go up and start to go down onto, and you can see it on this other small one, you can see how they just ever so barely start to go down onto the stalk or the stem of the mushrooms. That's one other identifying factor for these honey mushrooms to look for. So now, do you need to cook these well? In some cases, people will still have, according to the materials that are out there, if you look at them, some are still going to have, people might experience stomach upset from these. So we'll see. I'm going to make this video. We're going to cook some up and try them out. It'll be a first time for us. So if this video gets posted, obviously we've eaten them and survived. I'll add anything to it if we have stomach upset. But that's it. Just another quick video from here about these honey mushrooms that we had growing in some abundance on our property. Thank you. All right, as a wrap to this video, ate the mushrooms that we foraged in our woods and obviously survived. They are in fact honey mushrooms, and they were delicious, really meaty, flavorful, just sauteed up beautifully, and had them in several meals. Also managed to share them with some others because with a little bit of rain and in our woods, anywhere there was decaying wood or stumps, there was a fairly large cluster of the honey mushrooms growing, and truly hundreds of them, and the size was decent. So more than we could probably possibly eat, but nice as a supplement to have wild mushrooms for some of our meals. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.